Dear Diary, October Manager of the Month here, having won all games and, oh, hold on, we'll just get rid of that, here we are, and not conceded a goal during that month. That has us 4th on the league table as we start to get into some fixtures that could hold our momentum, albeit it may also be a chance for us to make a statement as we take on Chelsea and Manchester United while they're in the bottom half. If we beat the latter, the manager may even get sacked. Looks like the Brentford boss is getting close to being booted too. Thankfully, the Serbian stallion has been well behaved so is available. Let's hope it stays that way during the international break. Until next time. Everyone and welcome to episode 71 of FMOE here on Shaun Does FM with Cardiff City. I hope you are doing well, and coming up today we pick up right where we left off at the end of yesterday's episode. We are about to take on Chelsea away from home in the Premier League, and then off the back of taking on Stoke off camera, we will take on currently bottom placed Manchester United from Old Trafford in a game which if we win, we might be able to get their manager sacked in. So if you're looking forward to these two games against some big clubs who are currently struggling, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated, but obviously with the last game in yesterday's episode being that 2-0 win over Everton. Also, we did take on Spurs in that episode, so if you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. But we have only gone forward a week without playing a game since then, so not a lot has happened, albeit we have had some end-of-month awards for October in the Premier League, and as you could tell by the intro, we did pick up one of those, picking up the Manager of the Month with those wins in the Premier League, thankfully not taking into account our loss in the Carabao Cup against Liverpool, and also in terms of the Young Player of the Month, we picked that up for the second month in a row. It was Goran Jovic in September. This time Carlos Dominguez with 2 goals in 3 appearances, and it was also a Cardiff clean sweep with El Bloshy and Goodmanson in behind him. So a decent little period for us there in October, picking up a few of those Premier League awards, and hopefully it means we can continue this momentum as we do take on some big clubs who are currently struggling in today's episode in Chelsea and especially Manchester United all the way down on bottom of the table. But first up today we are taking on Chelsea. They currently find themselves in not quite as bad of a situation in 12th place. Inzaghi is still in charge, and in terms of their squad does look fairly similar to what we were taking on here last season, albeit Romelu Lukaku, who I think was also injured when we played these guys last season as well, he might be out for this one with a slight injury concern, but it does look like a very, very similar team that we did take on in the Premier League last season, and hopefully we can get one over these guys while they are down the Premier League table a little bit, albeit their recent form actually not too bad and does include a win over Manchester United. So hopefully if we get a decent result against these guys, we can give the Red Devils a bit of a thumping, and hopefully, as I said, get their manager sacked and just make sure that those guys continue their managerial problems that have been happening since Ruud van Nistelrooy did leave and join Tottenham before the start of the season. But because we're going to play Stoke in between these two games today, we'll come back and preview that United one off the back of this Chelsea game. So we'll come back shortly and see what their team does look like. No injury concerns for us, and we'll come back shortly with those team sheets from Stamford Bridge for this Premier League clash. And here are the team sheets for this first game of today's episode. There are Chelsea. As you can see, they do look quite similar to what we saw before on their club info page. So obviously with the position they are in the Premier League, taking this one quite seriously, we are back to proper full strength for this one. Enes Sully is back in the starting lineup, no longer recommended for only 45 minutes, albeit good replacement on the bench if he doesn't perform in Dominguez, and hopefully we can keep ourselves right up near the top of that Premier League table at Stamford Bridge. And it's only taken 4 minutes for the first highlight in this one. It's a free kick in our favour. Marco Blum gets his head on the end of that one, but unfortunately puts that one just over the bar looking for that top left corner, so an early chance for us. But unfortunately, it does still remain 0-0, but not too long off the back of that, there is another highlight, and Jovic will get that ball back for us down that right-hand side and just does his man there with some raw pace. Finds Falius inside the box. That is a big chance, but again, we put that one over the bar, so some really good early chances for us. But unfortunately, we are yet to hit the target, albeit off the back of those two. Now we have a corner, so early days here. We are well on top of Chelsea in our light pink uniforms today. Unfortunately, nothing doing from that corner for now. But Fadius inside the box does get a shot off that one, hitting the target. But this time Mendy comes up with a save, albeit this highlight is going to continue. McGuinness does win that one in the air. Quezada plays that to his midfield partner in El Bloshy. Now Ben Hardy takes some time on the ball. Some good passing here. And Marco Blund takes time. He finds Enes Sully, another good chance there. But again, we miss the target. It's an encouraging start. But unfortunately, still 0-0. And we go all the way forward to the 28-minute mark for our next highlight in this one. We've just told Quezada to ease off tackles off the back of picking up a yellow card. He is a player who does like to do that, but stats exactly the same as they were off the back of that early flurry that you did see. But Chelsea now with a good chance for Julian Alvarez, but thankfully he also misses a target. So quite a few chances in this first half, but both teams not hitting the target enough, so it remains 0-0. And those were the highlights for the first half in this Premier League clash. As you saw earlier, we were well on top of Chelsea for most of that first half. They had a decent late chance there through Julian Alvarez, but both teams a bit wasteful with their chances, albeit we did have more. We're going to make a few changes here at halftime. A few players on 6.4s might be the difference while we are on the front foot. So Colwell will come on for Farias and also Dominguez for Sully, seeing as he performed quite well in that left wing spot while Sully was out. But hopefully we continue to play the way that we have been, because we are looking quite good out there and hopefully can grab a goal in the second half, still locked up at 0-0. And in fact, there's a highlight here immediately from the restart off the back of those substitutions. Hopefully it is in our favour as we do have the ball from the play getting back underway, and Hardy early switch out here to Goodmanson down that left-hand side, plays through Ruben Colwell, will thump that one, and this time one of our players does find the back of the net. A few decent chances like that in the first half, most notably to Facundo Farias with that second highlight, I think it was, and this time we put the ball on target and finally grab what I think is a well-deserved lead in this game. Ruben Colwell, immediate bench impact, and we finally go 1-0 up at Stamford Bridge. And just past the hour mark, we still have our 1-0 lead, but it might be time for us here off the back of adjusting a few opposition instructions, albeit doesn't look like we actually need to, but we are going to make some substitutions. El Bloshy is down to a red heart, a little bit dangerous taking him off, but Jashari can come on for him, and also I think we'll take off Quezada just to play things safe. On that yellow card, Abdullah Bar can come on for him, so we'll change our midfield with a half hour left and still 1-0 up. And at the 69-minute mark, we get our next highlight on this one. It is a corner for Chelsea, but thankfully Goodmanson will head that one away, albeit now Kanate does have the ball inside the box, puts the ball into the mixer, and Smith is unmarked at the far post, but thankfully heads that one fairly safely wide, so we continue to hold on to this 1-0 lead. And while we are here, I think we might make our last substitution as well. Goodmanson is down to a red heart, and Niakate to come on for him, still with that 1-0 lead. And very shortly off the back of that last substitution, it was there Chelsea who were trying to get on the front foot, but they play a long ball forward, and McGuinness is there to tidy things up, and now we try and get something going down this left-hand side, but Marco Blund does lose out on possession, and Adozi here does get in behind, but thankfully Niakate does a brilliant job there to recover and just get a foot on that shot, so it does go over the bar, albeit it does mean Chelsea will still have a corner, but thankfully Colwell will head that one away, and just enough of a nuisance there, so we do stop that highlight, albeit only a few minutes later. Chelsea with yet another corner, so certainly looking a little bit more dangerous here in the second half. And now Bentancur with a shot, it takes a wicked deflection, and Kovacic puts that one in the back of the net. We are waiting here for a VAR check, but if that is a goal, that is a really unlucky one, but thankfully it has been ruled out for offside. Not too sure which player it was who was offside. In fact, it's the player who it took the deflection from, so thankfully get a little bit of luck going in our favour there and still 1-0 up with 10 minutes left. And today we might go just a little bit earlier to try and slow things down to try and hold on to all 3 points. And almost immediately off the back of making those changes just to try and slow things down here, there is a throw-in for Chelsea. And they try and play a ball over the top there, but thankfully Bayam does win that in the air, and Dominguez starts to make his way for Jovic now. Starts to get us inside the final third. Dominguez from a tight angle does actually force a decent save there out of Mendy, but hopefully now we are down the right end, we can hold on to this 1-0 lead and make sure that we do take all 3 points here from Stamford Bridge. This would be another great result for us here in the Premier League, but unfortunately Jashari, that is fairly well dealt with there by Mendy, albeit we do get the ball back, in Jashari here in a dangerous area, but unfortunately does give the ball away, and Kovacic here plays one over the top, but thankfully Adozi with a slightly loose first touch will praise the boys and try and stop that highlight. Thankfully it does work, and now inside the last 5 minutes, and we are on the attack yet again, albeit Chelsea did have the ball. They pumped this deep, and Bayam should be there to tidy things up. Looks for Jovic, who doesn't quite get there, and then Smith will head that one forward to Appelkamp, and that is a lovely ball for Adozi. Mexado comes out, doesn't quite get there, and Chelsea do grab an equaliser very late in this one, and that does mean, before we see the replay, we are going to go back to our usual style of playing, seeing as it didn't quite work that time, trying to close things out for the last 10 minutes of this one with only 2 minutes left. It is now locked up at 1-1, and that is off the back of that good goal there from Chelsea, just that ball in behind our high defensive line there. It did work. They won a few battles there to get the ball back in the air, and Adozi, too much pace there for our centre-backs, as well as Niakate, who did catch up to one of those earlier. This time, can't quite do it, so we now are locked up at 1-1 as we are about to enter 4 minutes of injury time, albeit now we are down the right end of the field, and we do have a throw-in, so hopefully might grab back a swift reply in this one and might be able to still take 3 points out of this game. Colwell plays a ball over there for Niakate, picks out Dominguez, yet again tight angle. This time comes off the underside of the crossbar. It will go out for a goal kick. That might be the last chance in this one as we get deeper into injury time. In the end, Chelsea actually had a very strong second half, as you can tell by that XG match story, as well as the stats. They turned around big time from halftime, but we were certainly on top in the first half, so probably a fair result there. A 1-1 draw, not a bad result for Cardiff at all, but after being 1-0 up for most of the second half, certainly a game we could have got a bit more out of, but not a bad result at all. We continue to pick up the points in the Premier League this season, and that will keep us inside that top 4, just in behind the likes of Liverpool, Newcastle and Aston Villa. And we'll come back shortly, show you guys highlights as we take on 15th place Stoke City at home, before we travel to Old Trafford and see if we can continue to pile on the misery on bottom of the table, Manchester United. And we are back with the highlights from that Stoke City game at home. Thankfully got off to a decent start here, 20 minutes in. Quezada from a corner at the far post did put that one home. We were just sitting on that 1-0 lead for most of the game, but thankfully just put it to bed inside injury time. Niakate there playing a ball through, and Farias did tuck that one away, so in the end we do pick up a fairly comfortable 2-0 win, albeit, as you can see, Stoke's overall XG match story quite similar, so they certainly created some good chances, but overall it was a game we were able to dominate for the most part. So even though not quite as clinical in front of goal as maybe we should have been, we do hold on and pick up a 2-0 win over one of our rivals, what was supposed to be a European spot last season. But it does mean now we have risen up that Premier League table even more, up into second position, albeit a long way behind current table toppers in Liverpool, who are 8 points clear, and we are about to take on Manchester United, who are no longer on the bottom of the table, but still in that relegation zone on 19 points. So they are definitely having a rough season at the moment. Roger Schmidt's men there, you can see they are playing at the moment with a 4-4-2. Certainly not a bad team, a team that should be doing a lot better than they currently are. And to be fair, their recent form, especially since that loss to Chelsea, has actually been quite good, even if 2 of those games have been in the Conference League. We'd expect them to be winning that entire competition it is fair to say, but Schmidt has had a rough start to life at Manchester United, obviously in the league, the former Benfica man. And as we suspected earlier, despite that recent form, there is a chance here that if we do pick up a good result, that it might just be the end of days for Roger Schmidt. He is in a precarious position at Manchester United. Also interesting to see teams like Arsenal, Chelsea, and Tottenham losing patience with their managers as well. So it could be a bit of musical chairs coming up shortly in the Premier League this season. Maybe it will be time for a big club to come after us while we are second on that Premier League table. But in particular, Manchester United might be starting to lose some patience big time with their new manager, and that would mean they'd have to hire their fourth one of the season, of course, off the back of that little funny bit with Francisco Valverde during the transfer window. But hopefully, even though this is at Old Trafford, hopefully this is the chance for us to pick up 3 points and hopefully start to close that gap on Liverpool on top of the table. But even then, we will still be in a good position with a draw away from home. But as I said, 19th versus 2nd, big chance for us here to finally get one over Manchester United, albeit we are going to have to do it, as you can see there, without a few players, a few injuries that we do have going into this game. And in particular, it does affect quite a few of our bench players. So both of our backup defensive midfielders in behind Brian Quezada are unavailable. So we are definitely light in that area at the moment. Both Sabino and Barr are out with fractured ribs and a torn hamstring. So both of those players out for a little while, albeit Abdullah Barr out for a bit longer, 2 to 3 months. And also Luca Orellano, one of our backup wingers, he has a hip injury, is out for 6 to 9 weeks. There's certainly a few injuries that are going to keep some players out for a little while here, but it does mean that players like Hurtado and Ian Hughes can work their way back onto the bench, but thankfully won't affect our first team too much. And we'll come back shortly with the team sheets and hopefully pick up some points from Old Trafford as we take on a struggling Manchester United. And here are the team sheets from Old Trafford. There are Manchester United. They are sticking with their 4-4-2, and it does look like they are putting out a stronger team than they did have midweek for that Conference League game. There we are, exactly the same starting 11 as that previous game that we did play against Chelsea, albeit a few changes on the bench thanks to those injuries. But hopefully, with those table positions, we can pick up some points and continue to stay near the top of that Premier League table. And there's a very early highlight in this one in favour of Manchester United. They try and put that free kick far post. We head it away, but they do keep the ball here. And now Mendes is inside the box, tries to put that one in to one of their strikers, but thankfully Goodmanson will clear that one. But it does look like United here are going to be on the front foot early. Will be interesting to see here how we do get on with a balanced mentality. Might be a bit of a risk, but Hardy, good clearance there, and now Falius will try and find Jovic. Unfortunately, can't quite pick him out, so United do continue to hold the ball in this opening highlight. And Martinez plays that one forward for Mendes. Marcus Rashford tries to play that one through. It takes a wicked deflection. It falls back to him. He scores his 10th goal of the season. If that was FIFA, I would call that scripted, because that just looked a little bit too good to be true. That deflection going straight back to Marcus Rashford. That is a bit of an unlucky one. 3 players there all around him, but off the back of that deflection, he finds some space and puts that one away in the bottom right corner. And unfortunately, we go 1-0 down early to a relegation contender. And about 10 minutes off the back of that opening highlight, hopefully now we do get on track, because we did have the ball there inside their half from a throw-in, but unfortunately lose it quite quickly. So it does look like Manchester United here might be on their game today, and they start to get something going down that left-hand side, albeit Goodmanson, good clearance there. Albloshy will find Jovic. Now Falius, poor pass there looking for Marco Blum. We certainly don't want to be doing too many of those with our vertical tiki-taka. We should be holding on to the ball a bit more than that, but now United do get a chance here to try and get something going yet again. Lavia up to Okafor, starts to cut inside just a little bit, and he finds Mendes here on the right-hand side, and quite a bit of space, some good footwork from him. Finds Pedersen, Pinamonti inside the box. He scored a few goals like that against us last season, does so again here, and maybe need to just stop slagging off Manchester United a little bit here, because at the moment they are well and truly on top of us in this one. 2-0 early days, and things not going well for us. As you can see also, Quezada yet again picking up a yellow card, but that one a good header, and just looking a little bit sloppy early here as we go 2-0 down. And in fact, almost immediately off the back of that second goal, now down the other end for a throw-in of our own. So hopefully this time we can do something. Enes Sally there trying to score a goal similar to what Belize did on the opening day of the season. That one goes just over the bar, so we are still 2-0 down. And about 20 minutes off the back of that previous highlight, we do get our next one. Manchester United still in front, albeit stats-wise in this one. They are certainly getting a lot of luck, it is fair to say. We'll bring that up at half-time, but they try and play a ball over the top there. Okafor does win it in the air, although Goodmanson tidies things up, but a bit poor from him, but thankfully Pinamonti heads that one forward to Mexado, so we can just calm things down here, and hopefully, before half-time at least, get a goal back in this one. He pumps this deep, and we don't win it, albeit Jovic does actually win that back. Plays it to Marco Brun, who will take it around their goalkeeper. And finally, we might be kicking into life in this one. We make it 2-1, 10 minutes shy of half-time. And that is exactly what we need off the back of a very rough start. And this one wasn't expecting a long ball forward, considering our tactical style these days. But Jovic does quite well there to win that back, and good finish there from Marco Brun to take it around the goalkeeper. And we might be back in this one, only one goal down. And maybe not so fast, because with a few minutes left in this first half, there is a free kick here to Manchester United, but thankfully Buddy Chalet just puts that one wide. There you can see the stats from the first half. I'm pretty sure we have seen every single one of Manchester United's shots, and even then the XG from them isn't that great. Look at ours, it is a lot better, but somehow we are behind in this game, obviously defensively not doing very well today. So we go into the sheds 2-1 down, and we are going to make a substitution while we are here. In fact, a few players on an average rating. First up, we will bring on Jashari for Quezada on that yellow card. The only real defensive midfield option on the bench these days, and also Ben Hardy struggling. So Ian Hughes will come on for him. We'll make sure Jashari is not easing off tackles, and also just check on some opposition instructions, but definitely need to give the boys a bit of a fire up here at half-time, because that first half, not good enough. We'll get things back underway, 2-1 down. And 10 minutes into the second half, we get our first highlight of it. We start off here with a throw-in to Manchester United just inside of their own half, and Lavia plays that one back to Enzo. They get in behind us far too easily, and Marcus Rashford will tuck that one away, and it looks like we might be in for a bit of an embarrassing loss here to the team currently second from bottom in the Premier League, even though it is Manchester United who are expected to beat us according to the odds, but still, defensively today, just not quite at it. Nice ball over the top there, gets in behind our high line, very similar what Chelsea did to grab that equaliser in the previous game, and they make it 3-1 here at Old Trafford, albeit a highlight right off the back of that, albeit Goodmanson gives that one away to Mendes, tries to play a 1-2 there with Pinamonti, but thankfully Goodmanson does recover, and we might get a chance here to hopefully grab another goal back and keep our hopes alive in this game, albeit there, I think that was Farias with a bit of a loose pass, albeit Mendes there gets the ball taken off him from Sully, so hopefully we start to do something here on the front foot, but then Marco Brun gives that one straight to Bessie. Okafor, Ian Hughes, takes too long on the ball. He can be a bit like that, the young right back. Okafor with a shot, but thankfully safely held from Mexado, but certainly looking a bit sloppy in this one. 3-1 down, and now they have a throw-in inside the final third. Pinamonti gets up yet again. Andrea Pinamonti, he is a big old unit, and we are struggling to stop him. That makes it 4-1, just shy of the hour mark, and this is not going to plan at all. The relegation contenders are up by 3 goals. Not what we wanted, at least a draw from this game ideally, but Man United on one today. They make it 4-1, just shy of the hour mark, and while we are here, both of our centre-backs are on poor ratings, so I think we will bring on Niakate for Olavium, and we might also bring on Stovall for McGuinness and put Goodmanson as a centre-back for the last half hour of this one, as we try and get some credibility back in the scoreline. And only a few minutes off the back of those centre-back changes, now it is a corner here to Manchester United, which Mendes is going to put in the mixer, and they get one from there too. They are just far too dominant in the air for us, and Bessie puts that one away, and this is now turning into an absolute pumping. And I think the Manchester United manager here might be saving his job, it's fair to say. Good finish there, nothing that our players on the line or goalkeeper can do, and now we go 5-1 down. And up to the 69-minute mark, and yet again it was United there who were on the attack, but good interception there from Jovic, and hopefully at least we can get a goal back in this one and try and get some credibility back in this scoreline. Big chance that for Marco Blun, but of course he misses the target, so we are still 5-1 down with just under 20 minutes left, and while we are here we're going to make our last substitution. Sully down to a red heart, Dominguez will come on for him. And with just over 10 minutes left in this one, we do have a free kick, which we put far post and Goodmanson will head that one home, albeit nothing to get too excited about because we are still 3 goals down. But there is just over 10 minutes left, so maybe there is a slight chance, to be fair. Probably not, but the goal, thankfully, has been awarded. So at least we scored 2 goals, not too much wrong with our attack in this game. Just our defence has been absolutely woeful, but thankfully we just closed the gap a little bit late in this one and make it 5-2. And very shortly off the back of that goal from a free kick, now down the other end for a Manchester United corner. We do head that one away somewhat, but they are going to keep this ball in the mixer, and Rashford just outside the box plays that one back to Martinez. Badiashile will find Wan-Bissaka. He is on the edge of the box. Nice ball there for Marcus Rashford. He gets some help from the inside of the bar, and he will grab a hat-trick. And just off the back again, some respectability potentially back in the scoreline. It goes completely, and that makes it 6-2, and not quite 8-2, but you're still 8 to see it. This has been a really bad performance, certainly our worst so far of the season. I think so far we'd only conceded 8 goals in the Premier League. Now it is 14, 6-2 here at Old Trafford. And we are inside the last 5 minutes of this game now, and Manchester United will get a late chance to make it 7, but thankfully they do put that one over the bar. But this has been a woeful performance, albeit, as you can tell by the stats, haven't been that bad, especially in terms of attack. We have the higher XG, but somehow Manchester United just absolutely pumped us. As we've said a few times, our defence today, not very good. Not too sure if our attack had too much wrong with it, because we were matching our XG, but somehow they've beaten us by 4 goals. They had 12 shots overall. I think we saw a large majority of those, and Mixado in goal on a 5.9 to be fair. Not too sure if it was all his fault, but certainly Manchester United, their strikers, having a very good day at the office. We could not keep up with them, and that is a poor defeat. We'll tell the guys that. 6-2 at Old Trafford. You'd like to think that might mean their manager might get a little bit more time to try and keep his job there at Old Trafford. Certainly might give us something to think about if that job does get offered to us, albeit they were not interested in us the few times it did come up at the start of the season. But thankfully, with that result for now anyway, we stay in second spot, but that was a bit embarrassing. 6-2 loss there at Old Trafford. And back in the inbox off the back of those 2 games in today's episode, absolutely pathetic there at the end, even though the stats actually suggest we potentially should have actually got something out of that game. But as I said, defensively, just nowhere near good enough, especially in the air. But thankfully for now, we do stay in second spot. And as you can see, we did slam our team, but I think it's a bit rightfully so off the back of that poor performance. But hopefully we can rebound quickly, because things don't get any easier in our next episode, because we'll come back at the start of next week pretty much straight away yet again, as we have the table-topping Liverpool coming up next, the team who just beat us with rotation teams in the EFL Cup last month. That could be a bit of a harsh one if we play like we did there at Old Trafford, but thankfully that game is at home. And also I think we'll show you guys that game against Newcastle, currently 3rd on the table, so a bit of a switch from today, taking on 2 big teams who are up near the top of the table. But that will do it for today's episode. A decent start with a draw against Chelsea, as well as that win over Stoke, but then got absolutely spanked there by Manchester United, while their manager was under a bit of pressure to keep his job. If you did enjoy today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well until the start of next week for Liverpool and Newcastle. And maybe also there could be some sackings potentially, looking at those insecure jobs that were around in the Premier League at the moment. But until then, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.